Darkness correlates with death, loss of life. You hear a ton of this in Jesus' talk. He says, when the people came together, get him to say, it's your hour and the power, the time of dying. That's why the night prayer is almost as if someone's gonna die. That's actually not just in the Bible, in ancient Egyptians. They think of night sunset as sits in the west, and the west side of the Nile. This is very very interesting. The west side of the Nile is dedicated to the tombs and the funeral temples. The east side is dedicated to the living quarters of people. So the darkness is correlating to death. That's why we have 5 periods of no life, no creation, nothing. And if we mimic this in our own life, then we say this in the prayers too, that God has dedicated night for sleep, the short death. So there are actually current information. I always like to write that down or say that down, current, because we don't know what's going to happen next. But currently, scientists, and what we call them, the ones that are specialized in the history of development of the planet Earth, decide for us there are actually 6 periods of new creation, of life. 6 periods. There's a problem here. I'm going to talk about it soon in this material. 6 periods of light and life, new life. That's why in the book of John also he correlates light with, in him with light, and the light. In him was life, and the life was the light of man. So life and light, then darkness and death. You get that? The Bible always talks in that language. So we have 6 periods of darkness. Which one comes first, darkness or light?
Darkness.
It's darkness. Because actually, this is actually going to jump into philosophy here, a little bit of philosophy. When you talk about light, which one is really intentional, active? Is it darkness or light?
Light.
Darkness is not intentional. And it has a lot of implications when you think about this. One of the implications is, for example, what should I do to get this room dark?
Turn off the light.
Is there a button for darkness?
No.
Can you turn on darkness?
No.
There's nothing that is called darkness is nothing. It's the absence of
Light.
because it's the lack of energy. We know that now. We know physics a little bit to say that light is an energy. When light disappears, the energy. Heat is a.
Energy.
So we talk about heat and cold. Which one of them is active? Which one is passive?
Heat.
Cold.
Heat is active.
If you don't have heat,
It's only gonna be cold.
the concept is in the mechanical engineering. You say there's heat bumps. Don't say cold bumps.
Yeah.
You bump heat out or you bump it in.
In.
You bump heat in, you get the room to be warmer.
Warmer.
You bump heat out, you get it.
Cold.
This is the concept. It's nothing about so light, heat, movement, life are all positive things. Needs intentionality. Needs a source of energy. So that's why I say apply to spiritual work, like life. What is easier? Or let me just go back a little bit. Is sin something positive? It's not. It's actually negative. Think about it. Let's take one of the big ones. Killing, murder. How is it negative? You're taking a life. We say take a life. You don't really introduce anything. You're actually taking something away. It's stealing something positive.
No.
No. So actually, the sin is the negative. It's almost like darkness. That's why sin correlates with darkness. We're obstructing truth. That's a lie. So when you think about it, what should I do to fight sin? I'm just thinking about philosophy now. Just think about it this way. If sin is darkness, and if sin is the absence of something alive, something active, so how do you fight sin?
Was light.
Absolutely. There's
Yep.
nothing I can do to cast out sin from my life is to bring in
Light.
light. Bring in
Light.
life. So you want to fight a lie, you fight it with truth. You want to fight impurity, you bring in holiness. You want to fight hate, you bring in
Love.
So all these things cannot be fought without introducing the
opposite.
antidote, the opposite. This is about, that would be a transforming idea. So Jesus did not come to fight sin by some other reason. He brings himself. He himself comes in to fight for us. That's why we need Christ, and we need life. We need life. So this is important. We talk about from Genesis perspective because whatever happening in the physical realm is also happening in the spiritual. It's parallel. There is nothing disconnected. Everything is connected here. So there's 5 periods when you look into the stages of the development of the earth. There's 5 periods of evolvement, not evolution, evolvement. They build on one another. So there's 5 periods of darkness were attributed to global events like the snowball earth. At one point of the history of earth, we know the whole earth. It's not the ice age. Be careful. No, this is not the ice age. We're talking about 1 mile thick of ice that covers the whole globe. So you call it the ice wall. Under 1 mile of ice, do you think there's going to be any light coming? 1 mile. I'm not talking this way, I'm talking 1 mile of ice. Do you think there's going to be any light coming to the surface of the earth?
No.
Not at all. The other one, massive volcanic eruptions and meteor collision with the earth, where there's a very dense cloud of dust that covers the atmosphere. They said they knew that the earth actually completely in darkness. So these are 5 major events happening in the earth, in the life of the earth, early on, that kind of stressed life to the limits. And many species, many things that were alive died. And the other one I told you about last time, that how would anybody write a book before any scientific development? 5,000 years ago? 4,000 years ago? No, let's be realistic. Exactly when Moses stopped writing stuff, it was 1,500, 1,500 years before Christ, so 3.5 millennia. When Moses wrote the book of Genesis or wrote about these stories, did he have any available knowledge of a water earth?
No.
Who would have? Nobody. Actually, nobody. They had some mythology, which means they have some idea that this was the case in other countries. But the science now affirmed the earth was completely covered with water. And no one from the scientists understand where the water came from, and they have many theories. This is unanimous. Everybody knows this. The scientific community knows that the earth was a water ball. The earth appeared on the 3rd day. It appeared. And as the earth appeared, with a lot of they suggest that this is actually volcanic eruptions. There's 2 types of rocks. Just a piece of information, just added. There is the floor of the oceans. What do you call that? Anybody has an idea? Now, what's the kind of rock in the floor of the ocean? There are 2. There is the basaltic and then the granite. Basaltic rock is very dense, very heavy, very thick. If you put a piece of basaltic rock that fills my hand on a scale and a piece of granite that you have the counters made of, the basaltic rock will be maybe 5 times heavier. So the whole earth on the bottom was basaltic rock on top of lava. When the volcanoes erupt, they push themselves up. As they come interacting with water, you make granite. This is how granite is made. Rock that was melting, cooling coming through water. So you have the continents we live on is huge mass of granite. So they came up from under the water and they made the continents. And they start shifting back and forth many times. So on the 3rd day, after this water world from the 1st and 2nd day, 3rd day, the earth kind of, the Bible describes like this. On the 3rd day, God said, let the earth appear. It's very interesting. What do you mean by the earth appear? It's actually coming from under
Water.
the water. Again, you're going to see this parallelism. It's unbelievable. when the earth appears, it fills in this place, and he separated the water from the earth and made some shore boundaries that the continents will be. What does that parallel to? When Jesus was baptized, he come out from under the Gospel actually describe it like this: he came from the water, he came up, as if he was completely immersed in the water, and then he came up. And as he comes up, what happens?
The Holy
The
Spirit.
heaven opens, and the Holy Spirit comes on him. Guess what? Before that, in the first day, the Spirit of the Lord was hovering. There's no place for the Holy Spirit to
rest.
stand on, to rest. Now we keep saying that there is some place that the Holy Spirit is looking for. And then as Jesus comes up, this is the beginning of, on the third day, with the earth appearing from the water, plants are going to be created. And this is early on, before anything else is created. So when is the first life on earth? You got that question?
Yes, third day.
The third day. Yes?
I have a question. How do you find day? Like, obviously it's not 24 hours, so how?
No, it is not. We're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
We're coming. So this is what happened on the third day. Dinosaurs. Okay, some people ask, and the kids ask, where is dinosaurs in the Bible? So we hear about dinosaurs, and I'm going to say something. I'm very angry, and this is when it comes to angry. When the Christians in this country or any other country say dinosaurs never existed. It's a
Never
joke.
existed.
Never existed.
Never existed.
How?
And you ask them, what about the fossils? And listen to the answer. And I don't know how people can believe that. They say, oh no, this is actually God put these fossils mimicking dinosaurs or something, some big creature, to deceive the scientists. I've heard this answer actually, officially.
Abuna, what they deny that like young Earth's creations?
Yes,
Okay.
they say dinosaurs never existed because the fossils of dinosaurs dated by carbon dating to be the last dinosaurs alive 65 million years. So we say, no, it cannot be that. So what's the answer? What the answer you give? So that God put the fossils so that God can deceive, listen to the word, the scientists. What makes that? Makes God what?
Deceives.
Liar.
A deceiver. Who is a deceiver? That's a big confusion. This is actually very, very destructive, and I don't think. Here, listen to me. What makes atheists? Stupid Christians. I'm serious. Who makes
Doesn't
atheists?
understand.
The stupidest Christians, basically. Okay.
Delete.
So why does the word dinosaur does not appear in the Bible? Why doesn't it appear? And this is a very important question. I looked after this, and I don't know why. There might be somebody else studying it, because it was coined. The word dinosaur coined in 1824 AD. Why I have to be specific about the year? Because 148 years after the finding of a dinosaur tooth in England in 1766, a wife of a physician who was very interested in fossils or bones. He studied anatomy, and she found this tooth in her backyard trying to garden. She brought that to her husband, and I said that looks like a tooth. So she looked into the records of fossils and stuff, and not fossils, from the anatomy. I said, that really looks like a tooth of a lizard. Wait a second. The tooth is like that big.
And
Right?
the lizard.
Lizards have teeth, but the
Yeah,
teeth of the
small.
lizard is like microscopic. You cannot see it. So if a lizard has a tooth like this, how big is that lizard? So they came up with the idea. It actually has to be a terrible lizard, right? So dino means dynamite, something very strong, power, and saur is the Latin word for lizard, a terrible lizard, a very strong lizard. The Hebrew Bible actually does not use that word because it was never known. It's not something we know. They use the word tanin for that tanin. What's in Arabic tanin?
Dragon.
Tenin.
So now you can guess. I don't know why they didn't use this word. Why would they not use a dragon to translate tanin? Think about it.
It's a different.
Why would we
Animal
not
or-
use dragon? Because dragons since antiquities are linked with Mythology.
أساطير.
Mythological books. So if I use a word like this in the Genesis creation, the people at the time who have no idea about the fossils. They've never seen the fossils before. They would think of the Bible as
That's all.
a book of mythology.
Yes.
So what is the next in the translation? The translators have to pick a word. So what's next, like ChatGPT? What's next?
Beast.
Huh?
Beast.
No. What's next is a whale.
Oh.
Well,
Tannin can be said about a great sea creature. So either whale or you just say great sea creature. Okay, guess what? Listen, what paleontology says. Paleontology says that dinosaurs in the Jurassic time and the one before it appeared at the same time with sea creatures and birds. They're from the same age. They joke today, say, if you want to eat a dinosaur, have yourself a chicken dinner. Because they actually come from the same. Actually, the remnants, the descendants of dinosaurs are, the ones who survived are the birds. Right? So the Bible is saying that exactly. On the fifth day, God created the great Tanim, plural. They call it in Hebrew, Tanim Hagadol. Hagadol means the great. Tanin itself, the single, is a great dragon. You put Hagadol to it, you get what? Great
Dragon.
Great dragon. Great is repeated twice.
Yeah.
Which means a huge emphasis on the size, right? So these two words meant great monsters of sea or land, either way. The King James Version of the Bible was commissioned in 1604 and was finished in 1611. This was 65 years before the discovery of the first dinosaur fossil, that too. This might explain why the King James Version, its newer version, New King James, translated Tanin Hagadol to great whales and not dinosaurs. You get that? That's why when you read the Bible, you will never see the word dinosaur because the word itself was not
known.
known, right? The word used to describe ancient, huge monsters would have been dragon. That's the one in Arabic. This would have made the Bible more of an ancient mythology rather than true facts to readers of the early 17th century. Of note, the Arabic Van Dyck translation used the word great Tanin in describing the same creatures. They just translated in Arabic as Tanin. Tananin al-Azam. ده حاجة تانية خالص غير اللي ايه؟ الحيتان, right? Or the مخلوقات البحرية. The Arabic is much more closer to the Hebrew than this because in Arabic, which is a Semitic language, has more vocabulary to describe these things. Dinosaurs are grouped with birds and sea creatures on the fifth day, which corresponds to the current scientific grouping of birds and dinosaurs. This is a fact also. Next.
I wonder where would the mythology get the Tanin or the
They
dragon
have-
story from?
Let's just this is something to think about as a theory. Don't you think that all humans came from Noah, from the Bible? So they have a tradition, a hand-down tradition about what
But
is
they
the
never
beginning.
saw. They
No,
never
but
saw.
the tradition is given by Noah and his ancestors to the descendants,
But even Noah did not see any
They-
like dinosaur.
and it down. That's tradition. That's one family. That's why I sometimes I fight with people in the seminary. They say, "You say Abraham knew about God." I said, "Yes, he did." And they say, "Well, Joshua said that Abraham was worshiping idols," and that's another one. I'm going to tell you about this problem. Joshua said, "You have a choice: either worship the gods that your ancestors Abraham and his fathers were worshiping, or worship the true God." And I said, "Wait, because Joshua's talking about servitude, not worship as paying homage." Like when people are in a country that worship idols, by extension, they're actually serving the idols.
Yeah.
By extension, it doesn't have to be that they're actually choosing to do that. You work with these people, you're actually laboring for their
Idols.
idols. We talked about this, and you see the stars, mass extinction, that's the darkness I'm talking about. And if you really study the stuff that they have about dinosaurs, 65.5 million years ago, a meteor, and this is what they talked about, a meteor hit the Earth in the Gulf of Mexico, at the Gulf of Mexico. They consider the size of it is like 1 kilometer in diameter, hit the Earth at a very high speed, and was vaporized immediately, creating a big shock wave in the whole Earth, and darkness had covered the earth, that the plants died, dinosaurs could not find any food. Before that, there's one.
Abuna, do you want to start from the bottom or?
Yeah. So in the beginning, 4.5 billion years, this is what they call the Hadean era, where the earth was completely boiling, hot, very, very hot, not cooled yet. It took a couple of billion years to cool down, and then we moved into the very primitive organisms. And then, talking billions, we're talking billions of years. Now we're coming to 500 million, which is 541, the beginning of the creation, the plants and the animals. And so we're talking about the first extinction happened there, and then we get more animals and plants, and a second extinction happened within the second star. A third extinction happened. A fourth extinction happened, and the last one, which is up, is, you see the stars? Go up a little bit. Fifth. There's more? No more. So those are 5 nights. Where is the sixth? We said the 6 nights. Night come before a day. A night, a day, 1 night, 1 day, second night, second day, third night, third day, fourth night, fourth day, fifth night, fifth day, sixth night, sixth day. Where is the sixth night? Because the first night is before.
Before, when all was dark.
Yeah, before everything else. So the first night is, we have 6 periods of darkness correlating to, in a very impressive way, to the 6 nights that the book of Genesis is talking about. But not as a day and night we think about. We're coming to this, okay? You see the last one is dinosaurs. Why there is not a night between the 6th, why there is not a 7th night? If you follow.
We're in it.
Because we are created in this day. We created in this day. If they're going to be on a 7th night, we would have to be extinct. So there will be no night. The Bible describes it very perfectly. He said, there is no night before the 7th day. Moves to creation of humans, and after creation of humans, we move to 7th day. And that's it. There is no night. I'm just telling you, this is actually a mind-blowing thing when you look at it and understand exactly how the book of Genesis describes what scientists are creeping to discover today. Not in a scientific way. The Bible is not interested in science. It's not a book of, this is not a book of science. It's not supposed to give us details about what science should discover. As if God is saying to us, I'm going to give you creation, study it. You're going to learn about me through it. But it's not going to answer all the questions. I have another book for other questions, which, who made things and why they were made. Science will never tell you why. Will never tell you who. Science at maximum can tell you when and how. That's it. Now, let's go down. I want to go, maybe, let's go up. We skipped over something. I think how people think about the creation. Let's go all the way up. We skipped over this. Yes, that's it. Since the early ages of the church, there were ongoing trials to estimate the age of the earth using the genealogy charts of the Bible. Don't look at genealogy to estimate the age. Genealogy is very much kind of created to give certain theological ideas. They're not meant to be to calculate history of the earth or creation. There were also debates on the way God made the creation. The Bible is the record of history of salvation, and not a science textbook, not meant to be. We should not expect the Holy Scriptures to answer specific scientific and historical questions, because the Bible is the record of God's relationship with His people, and is concerned with different set of questions in science. The Scriptures are concerned with the why and who questions, while science is concerned with when and how. The author of the Bible and the creator of the universe is one. And that's what we believe. I should not have a conflict between this one and that one. They are parallel, they're helping each other. Therefore, there should be no conflict between the Bible and ongoing true scientific discoveries. The ancient church fathers did not have the wealth of scientific and linguistic terminology that we have today. So don't go looking into the fathers trying to answer the questions of science. They're not going to have anything. Therefore, we should not expect them to answer questions that should be answered by sincere scientific studies. When we talk about creation narrative, many different approaches have been taken. First, there are two big groups, either believers or non-believers. So I'm not pointing at anybody. So, believers and non-believers. So all the earth, theistic, taking the day age. So believers say all the earth taking the day age approach. Each day represents a long period of time. So those who are believing Christians who look at the Genesis and say, we're thinking of the earth as an old earth, we're going to say they are not really one day. And they can be two types. Evolutionary, God created using evolution as a process. They can be believers, believe in old earth. It's an immense amount of time, but used evolution. Next one, special creation. God created different species without evolution as a process. So you got believers who believe in old earth, but they can be either evolutionist or the first big. Let me just write it here. Yes. Please do that. Oh. So you got. Let me just do this. So we got atheist or theist and atheist. Theist, you can have what we call old earth or young earth. Or gap theory. This is how people divide over this. The old earth, they say 6 periods of long time. This is 6 exact 24-hour days. The gap theory says 2 distinct creations with a gap. The old earth, they can be creation, evolution versus what we call specific creation. Special creation. Alright, so when you go with a believer who believes in old earth, that believes in 6 periods of long time, you can have the process as evolution or a special creation. The church didn't really say anything. As long as you maintain God as the creator. You can use evolution, of course, if he wants to. It's left not. The church never had any kind of dogma regarding this. They don't even condemn anybody who thinks evolution was used, but maintaining God as the creator.
The church is leaning more towards
The special creation. Oh, we definitely are. Old earth from time of Pope Shenouda. Thank God that he did this. He followed Augustine. Augustine had said this. He said, don't put an age to the earth. It would be a very what did he say? It would be unwise to do that because the language that's used for genealogies are not meant for us to count years. So this is the young earth, that's what he says, 6 exact 24 hours days, and that's young earth. And the gap theory says there was big gap between Genesis 1 and Genesis 1:1 and the rest of it. Okay?
Abuna, but so we don't believe in human evolution, right?
We at least not humans, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because there's
That's
a very detailed description of how God made humans. Alright? So this is how we have this, and then you're gonna have everybody in these 3 groups. But atheists, definitely not think of any creation, no creation. It was all natural evolution. No creation, but natural evolution. That's what they would say. Natural, meaning by natural nature made it. They would talk about evolutionary age of the earth and the stars. Everything came up. Why? And then this is important. Why people started to believe this? They necessarily said that explicitly, لكن معظم الناس بتفكر كده.
عشان other theories doesn't make sense. The young sun doesn't doesn't make any
Many factors. One of them, the misunderstanding of this, and the big loud voice of this group. When those people look at these groups, we say they are ridiculous.
Who are you gonna get theory?
A God theory بيقولوا, so it seems like there's two stories of creation. That God created something and then He went back and recreated it again. Between one God in the beginning, God created heaven and earth, and then He's talking about the creation of the earth as if it's the second creation. That's why they say, okay, the second creation happens over 1 week, but the first creation happened over
Years.
eons.
Yeah.
You see, to reconcile the two, this group says the first creation happened over billions. The second creation happened over 1 week. So what they did, they're trying to reconcile the old earth with the young earth. So why the atheists are doing this? Why they are doing this? Because first of all, they got young earth was screaming, you're wrong, the earth was made on 6 days. And they have all scientific evidence to say that this happened over billions of, look at the YouTube videos, and I looked at a scandal big of them. You see the amount of ridicule and anger in the scholars and the scientists who study the earth about this idea that someone thinks that the earth was made in 6 days. The fact is, from our science says, it is not the case. You keep saying this as if you're trying to shove it down our throats, and there is nothing, it's completely against the human mind. How should we believe something that's alive? That's what they say. So they dismiss the whole point as if everybody's believing that. That's one of the factors. The second factor is the deism. Listen, we talk about deism. When Isaac Newton started to discover the laws of thermodynamics, and he wrote them and he talked about them, it seemed like people started to understand there's certain physical and natural laws working in the universe that they are actually self-governing. You understand? Like there's في قوانين بتحكم الطبيعة، بتحكم كل حاجة، بتحرك نفسها. They started to notice that there's actually reason for the wind to blow, for the rain to come down, for the temperature to change, for the season, and these reasons are self-regulated. So where is God in that? The church always had thought that God is a pantocrator, hands-on. All of a sudden, Isaac Newton says, no, it doesn't seem like that. It seems like there's actually physical laws that control the universe, and these physical laws are in motion since eternity is going to be forever. So we come up with the idea of deism. What's deism? It's not theism. They call this the watchmaker theory. When someone makes a watch and they just make it very fine and very good, but actually he continues to work it, that the watchmaker doesn't have to be involved. Just let it be. So they say, so the people came to say, okay, if this is the case, then why would you need God to start with? Maybe the whole thing came up by itself. And this is a very important question to think about. Does the fact that we have we're far from it, we have like a very nice system in the church that people actually are very comfortable, everything is ticking like a clock. Does that mean that we don't need somebody to supervise? Like actually God is hands-on all the time, but doesn't mean that He has put systems in that He's not there. He is here, and He's working through these systems, and sometimes He changes it. When He wants to, He changes the system, but the system is not His goal. You understand? Like the wind and the physical system of, this is not His goal is human. He still works on the humans that He has. It's almost like you create a house for a father creates a house for his family, and everything in it is beautiful. They have a refrigerator, they have a heater, they have this air condition, everything is working. He doesn't have to be controlling the temperature and the heat and everything, and that doesn't make sense. But His presence there is extremely essential and important. We cannot ignore that He is here, even if He set up systems to make us comfortable as humans, as children. So this is extremely important because they look at it from a materialistic point of view. All to them, what God is doing is physical satisfaction.
It is the same, Abuna, when Jews they think that God created the everything in 6 days and He rest. He didn't do anything in the 7th day. That means that does God He rest?
What do with Jesus? He says, "My Father works until now, and I
Yep,
work."
that's the same reason. Yeah.
So this is, I want you to understand, this is how people think. The atheist became atheist because of
Stupid Christians.
stupid Christians. Basically, that's what. I mean, Isaac Newton was a Christian, but he didn't know how to because he was so much focused on material world, on the subsystem, on the sewage of God's creation, on the bottom line of God's creation, that he didn't think about it. So there's a word, let me finish this so we can get this done. Create, the word bara, the book itself is called bara sheet. In the beginning. Bara here is a word means to create, or a creator, or to choose, to make, cut down, dispatch, or done. When that word, be careful here, is used to mean to create, to use it as to create in the Bible, it's only used with God. When you say bara, not to kind of cut down, or to dispatch, or to be done, or to choose, you can do that with anybody else. But when you mean for it to be creating, bara is only used with God as a creator. There's an agreement among scientists on the Big Bang Theory today. Today, it's actually there is two physicists who came, those who, two very, very significant scientists. He said, after now we had, we move along with the Big Bang Theory, anyone who thinks that the universe, or any universe, has no beginning, is not scientific at all. He doesn't think science. Because it means that the Big Bang is the physicists actually discovering that the universe has a start, a zero beginning. That at the time the universe did not exist, and the next second the universe actually exists. Now, give me a break here. What does that mean? The question that philosophers have said, and the people from the religion says, okay, can something doesn't exist wills itself to exist? If it doesn't exist, then what does that lead us to? Nobody wants to talk about that. They talk about, like, we discover no God in the moon or something. But when it comes to something like this, if something needs to exist, can it wills itself to exist? No. What does that mean?
We need creator.
You have someone outside the system who wills it to exist, a cause. So there is an agreement among scientists on the Big Bang Theory as the beginning of the universe from nothing to a single point of few millimeters. Say the universe was like that. Can you imagine the amount of weight in this thing? Weight, energy, material, it's like so packed and so dense. And all of a sudden what happened, this little thing, like that, much more than an atomic bomb, exploded and started to move. How did they know the Big Bang Theory? How did they come up with it? They noticed that the universe is actually expanding, running away from each other. And they continue exactly where it started, where the space is. So they said the theory affirms the beginning of the universe. It's obvious that the universe cannot will itself to existence and need a creator to will its existence from nothing. When we talk about this with the people who object to this as a basis for us to understand the creator, they say, we don't understand. This is beyond our laws. It's outside our laws of physics. So, you need faith now. You need to believe in something that actually other than, so whatever the reason for this universe to exist, we call it God. You want to call it something else, that's fine. Call it whatever. But there has to be something outside this universe that began that process. Otherwise, that process would never have started because there's nothing. There was nothing. They say, so they try to come with different theories. So other theory is there's multiverses, parallel universes, and then one disappear, one appear, and then one disappear, one appear, and they say even if that's the case, they have to have a physics says they have to have a beginning. That's what physicists are saying. And then also they say, they have aliens. Aliens started seeding the universes. They know they have very huge technology and they know much better than us. So you agree with aliens, you agree with multiverses, you can agree with parallel verses, but what is the issue? What's really the issue? They have a problem with the church.
Yes.
That's the issue. That is the issue. Do you blame them?
No.
Do you blame them?
No.
I don't blame them. Okay. We're going to continue with this next
Thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Praise the Lord.
le acque apparent in Cristo, in essentiis, in essentiis,